crimson and white phoenix gracefully soars above the warm southern realm of azure in the midnight hour. From a distant golden castle, a man on the balcony watches it. The bird utters its call and then disappears from sight. The man enters the castle, passing through the majestic throne hall of the Grand Kingdom. He slows his pace for a moment, casting a gaze into the distance where a mysterious blue flame flickers. And in that very moment, another man approaches him, holding a lamp in his hand. It is Amazis, the advisor to the Emperor and the first heir to the throne of the Southern Realms.
A blue flame, a greatest of the great. It is surely a sign.
The man turns and his true form is revealed before us. It is Lord Emperor Jador, the ruler of the South.
Our strength is waning, and we shall have to turn to the north.
Slowly moving away from the throne hall, Jador approaches the grand doors. His gaze fixes upon the distant corridor, as if awaiting someone. Silhouettes appear in the corridor, moving towards Jador. They enter the throne hall, one by one, bowing before Jador and kneeling. Amazis observes them all with a haughty smile, nervously biting his lip, and approaches them.
Greetings to the greatest of the great. There is no time for idle conversation, Amazis. Quickly arrange everyone in their positions. As you command, my lord.
A burly man named Glick stands up, glancing disapprovingly at Jador.
This is hardly hospitable.
How dare you?
Jador, please calm this dog down, or I might have to.
A dog? It seems you've forgotten who the true heir of Azur is.
The true heir fell because of his foolishness, and you, a pretty and ugly worm, will be crushed as soon as the Lord forsake us.
Jador calmly takes his seat on the throne.
If both of you don't cease, I promise you will feel the full force of my wrath. Here and now. Apologies, my lord.
High Empress Sitara sits opposite Jador in the throne hall, at a round table of council and chairs. Jador looks intently into the eyes of each person present, creating an atmosphere of tense anticipation. At this time, maidservants enter the hall, carrying trays of wine and food. They arrange the refreshments before the Lord's guests and hastily exit the room, leaving the attendees waiting for the continuation of the meeting around the round table. The round council table impresses with its beauty, adorned with exquisite carvings. Golden chairs shimmer and elegantly bestow royal dignity and grandeur upon the place. All attention is focused on this sacred spot where decisions are made that alter the course of history. Seated in the main chair is Jador, with Amazis standing to his right. To the right of Jador, resolute and unwavering, sits Glick, accompanied by his loyal aide, Lesos. Nearby, an empty chair yawns as if awaiting someone who is currently absent. Opposite Jador, with eyes filled with determination and wisdom, sits Sitara, accompanied by her advisor, Nariad. Their presence exudes an aura of readiness to make difficult decisions. To the left of Sitara, Adalwin is seated alongside his daughter, Abe. In their presence there is a special elegance and grandeur that befits representatives of their noble and powerful people. On the last chair sits Alfar, the advisor to the Emperor of Nearland. Thus this majestic assembly has gathered the most outstanding personalities, each bringing their wisdom, strength, and influence to the meetings. Amazis pours Dindan wine for Jador and presents it to him.
In my letter, I indicated what happened to our Nubian brethren, and this is for this reason that I had to convene this joint council in such haste. But before we begin, Alfar, where is Sif? I offer my deepest apologies, Lord Emperor. Unfortunately, the Emperor had to stay behind, as he was extremely occupied, and he asks for your forgiveness for this inconvenience.
He's probably busy with his little wife.
Jador gives Glick an icy stare. The latter reluctantly falls silent.
We have learned that the Phoenix has awakened once again, and though it is not as powerful, its return to full strength will take only a matter of time. After Nobia, it will be even stronger, as it has managed to seize the relic.
So, you mean to say that a formidable creature has awakened once more?
I merely want to say that the Phoenix is coming, and if we don't stop it in time, we will never defeat it. Last time we had Dan himself and the power of the Seven, but now there is not a single barrier of such immense godlike power as before. Even if we gather all the emperors together, setting aside all our disputes, we cannot claim victory over it.
Stop, my lord. We destroyed it centuries ago, led by you. It can only be a myth now.
I have won many battles, but believe me, if it weren't for my father and the Seven, it would have turned us all to dust. And besides, Glick, everything incredible is called as a myth at some point. And all of this is to hide the truth. But you should know that, shouldn't you?
Glick angrily pounds his fist on the table.
What are you implying?
Don't forget who you're talking to, Glick.
You treacherous scum of your own house seem to have forgotten everything. Don't you dare raise your voice at me, you mutt!
Jador looks at Glick slightly, his eyes changing shape because of God's power.
Jador, don't think I'm afraid of you. There's no need to look at me like that. You bear the title of the Lord of the South, but remember your roots and don't forget anything.
Glick, calm yourself, dear. We all submit to the great Jador here.
Jador averts his gaze towards Sitara.
Sitara, your empire is under the greatest risk. You need to urgently evacuate the entire population to Azure.
As you command, my lord.
Jador, but if all of this is true, then we urgently need to unite with Northerns and the inhabitants of the East and West. Without them, we won't stand a chance. Exactly.
What nonsense are you spouting? Unite with the Tannins!
Yes, Glick. For me, it is the most difficult decision. If you recall, during the Battle of Moriago, I renounced my home in the north. But we all remember how powerful the Phoenix people are, and if they truly survived and decided to attack now, it means they are prepared. We have no choice but unite with the Danans and the other tribes.
Jador, you have lost your mind? These barbarians serve the old gods. I told you 500 years ago that I would provide an army and lead it, joining forces with Northerns just once. But now we cannot rely on their help. Only a fool would ring to such a thing. Have you forgotten that they broke their oath and attempted to disrupt the peace? I have nothing more to do here.
With those words, Glick angrily rises from his chair and heads towards the exit.
It seems you have forgotten something.
Glick looks back.
Yes? And what is it that I have forgotten?
Jador rises slowly from his chair, and his face, which had been calm before, suddenly turns into a steel mask. The flames of determination intensify in his eyes. Slowly, lightning bolts emerge from under his skin, shattering his armor and enveloping his body like a living skin. It covers him all over and forms a thick layer of armor covering his entire body in the first form of the power of the gods. In the next instant, he is like a lightning gust of wind rushing towards Glick and then back. This movement is so swift that human eyes are unable to perceive its incredible speed. Jador, like a divine whirlwind, pierces through space, leaving behind only a shimmering shadow of his presence, and in an instant the powerful force of his strike strikes Glick like a thunderous blow, robbing him of breath and severing his head. The life of Glick is abruptly halted, leaving behind only questions and alarm in the hearts of those present. A moment is filled with silence and horror, enveloping the hall where death and darkness reign. The lifeless body of Glick falls to the ground, like a pawn in an endless game of fate. The ruling leaders of their empires are shocked, staring at Jador, who sits completely naked, holding Glick's head in his hands.
Your head.
Meanwhile, in the north, in the largest and most influential empire known as Dan, the leader of the Danans, Tivard stands tall among dozens of prisoners who bear witness to his power and strength. In their hands, swords shimmer, iron shields gleam, and their armor reflects their untamed might and the grandeur of their realm. Tivard, moving slowly and serpentine-like, passes by half of the prisoners. Fear is evident on the faces of each, mingled with horror and trepidation before the inevitable. Our gaze turns to the masses of corpses covering the ground, from which blood flows, mixing with the rain, carrying away this gruesome sight. The surviving prisoners grow pale like corpses, their faces reflecting despair and panic, their fate seeming already sealed.
Well then, are there any brave souls among you who will destroy our freedom? Or would you prefer be devoured by my Abia, tied to a tree?
5 desperate prisoners, letting out a cry, recklessly launch themselves at Tivard. But with unwavering dexterity and the fluid motion of his sword, Tivard breaks one of their weapons, and then kills the last one with a precise piercing strike that penetrates his lungs. The bloody harvest submits to his resolve and strength. The other 2 prisoners, witnessing the death of their comrades, rush towards Tivard from behind, attempting to deliver a fatal blow to his back. However, the leader of the Danans skillfully evades, slipping between them and grabs both by the necks with his powerful hands like steel pincers. The force of Tivard is palpable as he swings his victims with devastating strength, killing them by shattering their heads, colliding them in a gruesome rhythm. He harnesses his divine power, and the bodies of the prisoners turn to ashes, engulfed in fire that emerges from beneath Tivard's skin. Their flesh is consumed, leaving behind only charred bones. When the fire subsides, Tivard stands in the aftermath of this horrific battle, adorned in armor bestowed upon him by the power of the gods. The surviving prisoners tremble in fear, standing in their own puddles of urine, quivering at the sound of thunder from the heavens.
You are easier to split than nuts. Let's get on with it, damn it.
Panic and despair ignite among the remaining prisoners, their eyes filled with increasing fear. They silently exchange glances, realizing the hopelessness of their situation. With screams mixed with desperate cries, they run forward, trying to escape the fate that awaits them. But Tivard's strength, fueled by fury and determination, leaves them no chance for salvation. With his swift and precise movements, he thwarts every attempt to flee, deftly capturing their bodies like impassable traps. Each prisoner who tries to escape finds themselves in his powerful hands, unable to escape. Their cries and moans fade away as Tivard suppresses their attempts with his merciless grip. Death befalls them one by one, and the sounds of struggle are replaced by a dead silence. The remaining prisoners, crushed by fear and horror, understand that they have only postponed their demise but not escaped it. Tivard's skin is covered in an even thicker armor that emerges from within, adorned with blood-like scales.
Now it will be more fun.
As the last word hangs in the air, a tense silence blankets the desolate prison courtyard, pregnant with a palpable sense of impending doom. The prisoners, their faces etched with weariness and resignation, stand huddled together in a chilling tableau of despair. The gloomy atmosphere is heightened by the dark clouds that loom overhead, suffocating the feeble rays of moonlight struggling to penetrate the oppressive veil. In a sudden eruption of violence, a deluge of arrows descends upon the prisoners with deadly precision, ripping through the air like vengeful spectres. The sinister whistling of each projectile creates a symphony of impending death, drowning out the prisoners' gasps and pleas. One by one, the arrows find their marks, penetrating flesh and shattering bones, painting the courtyard in a macabre tapestry of crimson. Amidst this gruesome spectacle, Tivard, a figure of God's strength, finds himself targeted by one of the arrows. The projectile pierces his trapezius muscle, its entry marked by a sickening thud and a searing pain that shoots through his body like a venomous serpent. Tivard's eyes widen with a mix of shock and rage, his primal instincts ignited by the assault on his very being. With a swift and furious motion, Tivard turns around, his face contorted with a potent blend of fury. He turns around and sees that every prisoner left is dead. He notices the figure not so far from him.
You again.